The 5-minute break is over. It's time to call to order the Board of Directors regular meeting study session for Thursday, October 12th. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen?
Here.
Director Duff?
Present.
Director Griffith?
Present.
Vice President Sewell?
Here.
President Martin?
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
We're going to skip the Pledge of Allegiance until Monday. However, I'd like everybody to stand for a moment of silence. And moment of silence in honor of the innocent lives lost in the Middle East. And hopefully a resolution to that conflict will take place soon. Moment of silence, please. Thank you. You may be seated. Since all of our board members are present, I'll be skipping item number 3. Counselor, could you go over rules of procedure?
Yes, according to the rules of procedure adopted by the board, all noticed meetings are conducted using Rosenberg's Rules of Order as a procedural guideline. Directors should refrain from responding directly to public comments at meetings of the board. The president of the board presides at all meetings and decides all points of order and procedure during meetings. The president is responsible for the maintenance of order and decorum at all board meetings. No person should be allowed to speak who has not first been recognized by the president. No member of the board should speak more than once upon any one subject until every other member of the board wishing to speak on the subject shall have been given an opportunity to speak. No board member shall interfere with the orderly progress of a board meeting. The board president regulates the amount of time to be dedicated to a particular agenda item.
Thank you, Councilor. Item 6, public input. This is the opportunity for members of the public to address the board on matters within the board's jurisdiction. Please limit comments to 3 minutes or less. State law prohibits the board from discussing or taking action on any item not listed on the agenda. Do we have any members of the public who wish to address the board?
President Martin, there are no members of the public online.
Okay. Are there any members in the board meeting itself? I'm seeing none. We'll move on to item 7, Human Resources Report. I see we have, gosh, and all 3 of them are present here today. So we have Marianne Champion, Government and Public Affairs, 2 years already. Wow. Yeah. Time flies. Kurt Kettenbach-Necker, Innovation Technology Manager, 2 years. And Danny Friend, Director of Operations, 26 years. Wow. I didn't think you were that old. So anyway, we'll address that also on Monday. But congratulations to all 3 of you. Item 8, action on this item will occur on Thursday, 10/11/12/23 during the study session. Resolution 2023-22 MSWD Comprehensive Energy and Sustainable Upgrades Bank of America Installment Sale Agreement. It's recommended to adopt Resolution 2023-22 related to MSWD Comprehensive Energy and Sustainability Upgrades Project Installment Sale Agreement with Bank of America. I believe we just had that.
Yes, President Martin, we would like to pull this item.
I'm sorry, what?
We would like to pull this item from the agenda.
Okay, we'll pull this item for the agenda for Monday's meeting.
No, we'll pull it from both today's agenda as well as Monday's without moving forward with the NG contract.
Yeah.
This is a moot point.
Yeah, okay. It's been pulled. Do I need a resolution for that? I mean, a vote for that? Okay. All right. Item 9, award of well 34 rehabilitation project to Legend Pump and Well Service Incorporated and contract amendment for Kyle Groundwater. Brian?
Yes, thank you, President Martin. Members of the board, I will ask Eric Weck, our engineering manager, to discuss this item.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, General Manager Macy. Good afternoon, President Martin and members of the board. Agenda item number 9 pertains to the award of the Well 34 rehabilitation project to Legend Pump, as well as amending the current contract with Kyle Groundwater to perform the necessary oversight and construction management of the Well 34 rehab project. Now, Well 34 is being constructed, and it was initially thought to be able to provide 1,000 gallons per minute service. However, it was found after it was drilled and constructed that the well was not capable of producing that necessary quantity of water. So since then, the developer has provided us a deposit for, among other things, to rehabilitate Well 34. The work includes performing a well casing survey, so that kind of looks at the thickness of the steel casing in the well to make sure that it's still competent and thick enough and hasn't deteriorated, as well as well development, chemical treatment, and ultimately a pump test at the end of all of this work to confirm the successful rehabilitation of this well. Staff prepared plans and specifications for this project and uploaded them to our Planet Bids website to solicit bids for the customary 30 days. Likewise, staff also conducted a pre-bid meeting at the well and with all the potential bidders on site to see what the site was like and see what the constraints were, and also to acquaint them with the layout. So 5 potential bidders downloaded the plans and specs and attended the pre-bid conference. After advertising the bids for the 90 days and having the in-person pre-bid meeting, staff received one bid in the amount of $565,662 from Legend Pump and Well Services. So staff took that bid and compared that bid with the engineer's construction estimate from Legend and believes that the bid coincides with the construction estimate and appears to be within acceptable costs. Staff also received a work plan and scope from Kyle Groundwater, and they are very capable of providing the necessary hydrogeologic oversight and construction management for this project in the amount of $45,950. Finally, I want to underline this. Per the development agreement between MSWD and Skyborne Ventures, this work is reimbursable through the deposit provided by the developer, and there is no cost to the district. Are there any questions?
Ed, any questions?
No, I'm very confident in our engineers. Thank you.
Okay, Ivan? Roach? No. Amber?
Just one.
Okay, go ahead.
So Eric, just to clarify for me, we're getting used to the new agenda report with the boxes that are telling us our funding sources and our financial data. And so I see the 565, 662, and the 110,751 as the two costs for a total of 622. But it says that the current job balance is 461,000. So does that mean that's what's left of what they've deposited into our accounts, and we're going to be spending the additional 219 or so of district money, or is there more money coming from them, or did I read this wrong?
No, ma'am. The developer provided a deposit for 3 projects, really. Well 34, which is what we're discussing now, Well 35 completion project, and the 18-inch intertie project that ties them both together. And so what we've done is we're reaching out to the developer, and per the development agreement, it does say in there that if there's any cost increases, we can reach out to them and ask for additional monies to cover those cost increases. And secondly, to make things a little bit more efficient and run a little smoother, I believe we've also reached out to the developer and said, look, the $4.275 million that covers all 3 of these projects, and that's a deposit they've provided, we would like to use that pot of money to do well 34 along with well 35 along with the 18-inch intertie instead of splitting them up. So for well 34, there was $475,000. We've used some of that money for design purposes and staff time. Well 35 has $2.7 million, and in the 18-inch intertie has 1.1. So at the end of the day, there won't be any cost to the city, and it's my understanding that the developer was amenable to these requests and to also abide by the development agreement.
That's exactly what I needed to hear. Thank you.
Anything further on that? Anything further from staff?
No.
Do we have any members of the public wishing to address item 9? Seeing none, we will vote on that project on Monday. Moving on to item 10, First Amendment to contract agreement with Walton Motors and Controls Incorporated for motor rewind repairs for water production well and booster pump motors for 2023-2024. Brian?
Thank you, President Martin. I will ask our Director of Operations, Danny Friend, 26 years here with the district, to give this presentation.
Okay. Thank you very much. Could you pull the microphone a little closer to you there?
It was off, actually. I turned it off during the communication. I'm sorry. Hopefully the video picked that first part of my conversation up.
It did not.
Unfortunate Monday. So we are here to talk about a First Amendment to a contract agreement with Walton Motors. We have a current $50,000 contract to perform motor rehabilitation, rebuild. We started that contract back in August of 23. And we spent about $46,500 roughly this year on 2 emergency projects, well 24, as well as the Valley Booster Station. And we still have the remainder of the contract, the remainder of this year, and we have about $6,500 remaining. Although we don't anticipate, that's pretty much why this contract is there, is not for planned work. It's essentially for unexpected emergency work. So again, we don't have any planned work for the remainder of the year. That would be independent where we'd be using this contract, nor do we anticipate any type of failures. But to be in a position where we're able to cover any unforeseen emergencies for the remainder, we're asking that the board amend the consideration for amending the contract with Amendment 1 to $100,000 total. It would add $50,000 to the current contract. I did, after speaking with General Manager Macy, we did agree to put the original agreement in there. And the reason for that is it was approved at staff level. And this amendment takes this as a requirement to hits the threshold to bring it to the board of directors. So you weren't able to see that agreement initially. So it's in there for you to look at. It also has the comprehensive scope of work that talks about all the different services that are listed in there. We did have there was some confusion on my part, is it says all previous contracts, plural, and there was a similar contract in 2022-23. Initially started for $30,000. We did an amendment to $7,000, but I didn't feel it was necessary to include. I can include that later if you like it. That's all I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions from the board? Anything further from staff?
No, that concludes our report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Read the documents over the weekend, and if you have any questions, we can address them on Monday. Okay. Moving on to discussion items. Item 11, Nancy Wright Regional Water Reclamation Facility update. If we have anything further on that.
Yes, TKE, Terry Renner will be here to provide an update of the construction project. Terry?
Good afternoon. Thank you, General Manager Macy and Board President and Board members. I will share my screen and provide you a PowerPoint presentation for the update. Is that coming through okay?
Yes.
All right. So for our Water reclamation facility project update. We've provided a couple slides here. I'll go through them to give you an update on what has happened over the last month. In the headworks area, the contractor has pressure washed and cleaned all the concrete facilities that are going to be primed and coated within the headworks. They had to remove any dirt, grime, and concrete curing compounds so that the primer and coating can properly adhere. On the picture on the left there, you can see them doing that. On the picture on the right, they are installing that first coat of primer within those facilities as well. As we move forward, the contractor is then installing the primer coat, which will help protect the facilities against the corrosive materials within the sewer water itself. And on the right side picture, we have the contractor performing the holiday spark testing, which is testing to make sure that the coating was installed evenly throughout and to the proper thicknesses. The headworks then got their solid covers installed. These solid covers will help combat any odor and help with the odor control of the facility. They'll keep the odor within those chambers itself, and then the headworks facility will help pull those out before they get out into the open air. At the SBR tanks, the equipment is continuing to be installed. You can see the additional piping and other equipment that's being installed by the contractor on both of these two pictures. We then move into the aerated sludge storage blower area where they are installing the new canopy, or they have installed the new canopy, a picture on the left side there. On the right side, the contractor is installing the plant drain pump station piping, and that has been completed to date now as well. These two pictures are showing the utility trench installation. This is the thermal protection for some of the aeration piping that is going to the facility itself. That has been completed. And then we have the electrical system installation. We got the pictures of conduit and the pole boxes that were installed over the past month. And then the contractor then placed the red concrete slurry, 1-sack slurry on that to help protect those facilities from any future damage. These pictures are showing the spreading pond areas. Contractor began his clear and grub of those areas. This is everything except for Pond 1. In Pond 1, we still do have the one burrowing owl. We've contacted CDFW, and we're putting together a plan on relocating that owl so that we can finish the clear and grub of that number 1 pond. And then on the right side, we've got the access road to the ponds that is also being worked on here. For the chemical system, we've got pictures of the chemical feed piping that is being installed. And then we move on to our fire sprinkler system. The red pipes are shown in these pictures. Picture on the left side is our maintenance workshop with the final picture of the fire sprinkler pipes installed. On the right side, we have our control room, and you can see the fire sprinkler pipes with the drops installed there as well. For the operations building area, these pictures are showing installation of the control room HVAC, plumbing, fire sprinklers, and steel-studded walls. We've also got the completion of our hydropneumatic system and tank installation there within the operations building. And then on the right side, we've got the maintenance workshop lighting and insulation. For the conveyance line, the contractor is continuing to install the PVC force main. That was started and has been completed from Little Morongo past Atlantic, excluding the creek crossing that was damaged during the tropical storm. And then for the funding update, so for phase 1, for the water reclamation facility, a reimbursement request, our second invoice is in with staff right now under review, and we expect to have that submitted by the end of this week. And for our phase 2 on the conveyance line, the final funding agreement was submitted back to the state on May 25th. We've continued to follow up with the state to get the final authorization to move that forward. And we've actually called them twice this week and left messages. So we're just waiting for their final approval on that so that we can submit the first invoice for the conveyance line. And with that, I'll open up for questions.
Yeah, my question is really directed towards staff. I would like us to be able to take an in-person tour of the update and perhaps make that the site of a on-site board meeting, similar to what took place at the Holding Ponds Desert Water Agency, and open it up to the public and see it, because this is really an impressive project, and I would like to like I say, get another tour and make it the site of a field board meeting. With that, any comments or questions from the board? Ted?
I think that's a good idea, President Martin. Thank you for all the work you continue to do here on this project. I hope that we're able to make all the deadlines that we've had problems with. So I hope that's moving forward in a positive direction. Mr. Macy, when I was looking here, it said M2. Is that the same area too over in District 5 that we're referring to?
That's next to the existing area that we already have. We've completed a sewer to septic, so it's the second area just to the east of that.
Are we going to be notifying the residents there ahead of time so they expect to
absolutely
know and
yes
start saving a little money to pay for their end of it?
In this particular case, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe in this particular case, all costs are going to be covered by the grant.
By the grant, okay, but so if they know that they'll have an extra bill coming of $50.
Oh, I see what you mean. I'm sorry. Yes, when they connect to our system, they will be receiving a sewer bill from us. You're absolutely correct.
So we'll let them
yes
know ahead of time on that. All right, thank you.
Ivan?
Yeah, everything looks great. And just a quick question on conveyance line. Has there been any progress there at the wash on Dillon, as far as an idea of when that grade will be fixed and we can install the line there?
We actually are teaming with the city. The city's going through the process of rebuilding the road. We have worked through a verbal agreement to them right now. We're working through getting the contract language correct, where we would actually pay their engineer to go ahead and just add our line to that. And then once they go to construction, then we would do the construction in the same fashion. We would pay our fair share for that particular cost. That way we're not holding their contractor up and their contractor isn't holding us up. It's just we do the same thing with the county on a regular basis when we repave a road. So doing it with the city in this application made a lot of sense. So we're working with the city to do exactly that.
Great, thank you.
Robert? I know. Amber?
The only thing missing was a status update on those 2 reporting issues. Could Mr. Renner give us an update on where they're at with those reporting issues that we had? Or is that staff?
No, we did. Well, either one, but we did receive an extension for both of those violations. So we are now proceeding, making sure that we get that alternate well location or monitoring well, and we're working with the state. So we did get the extension granted, which we did expect.
Well, I'm more wondering, because we didn't want to extend this all the way out till the end of the extension. So I was just wondering if we've made any progress on getting those corrected, or if we're kind of backburnering it at the moment.
No, we need that monitoring well in place to start getting baseline for the plant to come into operation. So I'm making sure I'm talking about the notice of violations and that issue. As far as extending the project 2 months for the motor control center, or
no, I meant specifically
okay,
for the violations, for what was required for the 2 violations.
Yes, we're doing everything we can to stay on schedule to make sure to get that monitoring well located and installed as quickly as we can.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any questions or comments from the members of the public? Seeing none, moving on to item 12, Critical Services Center and administrative update.
Yes, President Martin, we will have no update at this time.
No update. Moving on to item 13, Board of Directors compensation. Very interesting report here. Again, this is a discussion item. There will be a vote taking place on this, but at this time, at any rate. Any questions or comments concerning the information provided on this? I was especially interested in the compensation comparison. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Marianne, do you have any information you'd like to share with us on that issue?
I just have a quick presentation. Good afternoon,
Okay.
President Martin and members of the board. I put together a quick overview of our current board compensation for your review. As you've noticed, copies of this presentation are on the dais and they're also in the back of the room, should anyone like a hard copy of the information.
Okay.
Currently, our board is provided a $100 stipend for each day of service they perform with a cap or max of 10 meetings per month as outlined in Water Code Chapter 2. They also receive life insurance and member and dependent health insurance should they elect either of those. Our current $100 per day stipend was adopted by ordinance in September 2000. According to Water Code Chapter 2, Section 20202, and I quote, to increase the amount of compensation which may be received by members of the governing board of a water district above the amount of $100 per day, the increase may not exceed an amount equal to 5% for each calendar year following the operative date of the last adjustment of the compensation which is received when the ordinance is adopted. Furthermore, no ordinance adopted pursuant to this chapter shall authorize compensation for more than a total of 10 days in any calendar month. I thought those were very important things to note. So what I've done is I went ahead on this chart and calculated 5% for each of the years. And you can see we start at the $100 and then we go up to $307.15. To give you a comparison as to what some of the other water districts in our area are doing, I have taken this information using the agencies that we did for our recent class and comp report. And I also added some of the agencies that some of the board may have seen during the recent DWA discussions regarding the same topic. And I've charted them for an easy comparison. You'll see the orange line is MSWD's current per meeting stipend, and the green line is what is allowable based on our last increase. Hopefully this information is going to give you enough background so that you can just discuss this topic further. Thank you.
Okay. Amber, any questions, comments?
Haven't really had a chance to review this in detail, but we're here to serve, right? And that's why we're all here. But I don't think any of us anticipated the cost that would have to our families and our family time. At least I didn't in the full spectrum of what I was looking at and getting involved in as a new board member. And childcare alone makes it a little prohibitive for me to be able to justify participating in certain things because I'm paying more for my childcare than I'm gaining in attending these different events. So I think this is a great thing for us to all look at. And I appreciate that the staff has thought to be kind and bring this to us in this respect. And so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Robert?
I'm assuming this will come back to us at some point for consideration.
If you so wish, if the board decides that they would like us to move forward with this or with some type of change, we would just need that direction from you, and then we would bring it back to you to vote on it as an ordinance.
Okay. I mean, that would be my option or my desire. I you know, money is always a sticky subject to talk about. And I know there is, for some people, an impression that this is all we do is we come in here for a couple hours and that's about it. And if anyone pays attention, I can tell you that that's actually not true. That at least for me, typically an agenda, I'm going to spend probably anywhere from 10 to 16 hours going through and making my notes, and that's not including the 3-hour meeting. and then the next meeting. And so you can see here, we're clearly way below a lot of places, and where we could be if we did an automatic increase. So I think it's very important to have a conversation and bring this forward, and maybe we can have some talk about what we feel would be appropriate in the future moving forward.
Ivan?
Yeah, sorry, I was just doing a little bit of math. Sorry. I just look at that first graph that you showed, and again, I feel biased since it's talking about my compensation, our compensation, but to see something not visited in over 20 years for anything in the district, I think is a mistake. I've talked about it before when we had the issue of compaction, where we had a staff member actually surpass our general manager salary. And I think that every year we consider staff salaries. I think the general manager salary and board salaries should be at least be considered. I'm much more of a fan of incremental changes. 5% sounds a lot better than if we were to do any kind of adjustment to the average. So I just averaged all those, what was it, 14, 13, and it came out to 240 and some change. It'd be 140% increase to our current, and that, although it would be fair, it doesn't have a good optic, I feel like, to our ratepayers. I'm definitely in favor of increasing it. That number, I think we can discuss and come to some kind of agreement, but in the future, moving forward, I'd like to see it considered so we don't have to make these substantial jumps in the future. Thank you.
Ted?
I guess I brought this up more than once. And the reason why is because, you know, we all work hard to get to where we're at. And this is like a part-time job. And in fact, if I wanted to go get a part-time job, it would be almost impossible because you have these different meetings that we really do need to attend to. As a, you know, the 3 commissions I served on, I never took any of the money because I thought that that was just my reasonable service to my community. It wasn't such a responsibility as this is. We just can't get up and walk away from this. We have to be here. We're making $1 million decisions. We should be getting paid what we're worth. And we have the chart here in front of us. I don't think we're taking advantage of anything. I'm a veteran, so I don't take any of those benefits that are mentioned. I think that would be taking advantage, getting medical insurance, paying for it, and making the ratepayers pay for something I don't need. So I would like to see this move forward.
Sure, go ahead.
One thing I've heard when compensation has been brought up is the fact that we do serve a disadvantaged community where some of these other comparisons may be more fluent. Is it possible, should we continue this discussion, to compare ourselves also to the city of Desert Hot Springs elected officials? I feel like that would it'd be a different thing to look at, but just something to compare. They serve a lot of the same constituents as we do.
I did look into Desert Hot Spring, the city of Desert Hot Springs and the city council. Their structure is very different than ours. They as council members, they receive $1,111 for compensation each month. And then on top of that, they get a car allowance and also a phone allowance. So once you start adding in all of those, it's really not an apples to apples comparison because of also their duties and their responsibilities are different. And also they're governed under a different code or section, if you will, ordinance.
Thank you.
Speaking of the city council on there, I was approached by a member of the city council who has been somewhat critical of some of the things we've done in the past. And really was in support of increased compensation for the board. I thought it was interesting coming from this council member. He felt that we were not being paid enough. So, yeah, I would like to see this brought back to the board with more of a specific choice that we have. That's all costs for just a direction, right? Of
Yes, I think moving forward, if we don't have to make a decision today, but on Monday, if we can come up with a dollar amount, then
Yeah,
we can
okay.
prepare the ordinance and bring back to you in November.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you, Marion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the consent agenda, there are two items. I'm sorry. Sure. I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
President Martin and fellow board members of Mission Springs Water District, I am glad that you're talking about this. Your time and everybody's time is valuable. Sitting on a board as elected officials, you're not volunteers. Commissions, that's a different animal. You're appointed and you can choose to do it or not to do it. But when you run in a race to be elected to represent the constituents, you are then committing yourself to the time and the effort. I totally know how much time it takes to be on this board and how much time it takes me to be on the current board that I'm on. You're expected to work. You're expected to read the packets, analyze the data, and then collaborate among yourself, debate, and then ultimately vote what is best for the ratepayers. Constituents want qualified directors. Qualified people look at what compensation might be given to them if they run, and often don't want to waste their time because there is no remuneration that's proper. We are in a disadvantaged community. However, that doesn't mean we should have community members that are not, shall we say, more schooled or more committed or interested in something, and to be also remunerated properly. I also believe that constituents need to know the total costs of their district. In other words, what it costs for staff to be here, what it costs to have the infrastructure, the pipeline, and what it costs to have qualified elected officials. I know I have talked to some directors in times past, and they wouldn't even submit all the things they could submit for reimbursement because they thought they were helping the district that they were in, saving the ratepayers money. And I suggest that that's hiding the actual cost of being a director, and the public needs to know. This one chart that was provided to you, that had you gone up 5% for each year, you would be at $307. Is that out of line? Absolutely not. The amount of effort and energy that's put in. If you even take a look at various cost of living charts, even AARP says that $1 back in 1973 is worth $7 today. I'm just saying cost of living is there. The fact that MSWD did not have in a cost of living each and every year really only harms MSWD. Not unlike the time when MSWD didn't raise rates and we were facing bankruptcy, or not bankruptcy, but we didn't have any reserves. And I was the champion back in that time period. We've got to raise the rates. Sure, elected officials, they don't really like to ruffle feathers. We don't want to, we don't want the public to think that anything bad, but The public really wants water to flow. They want quality people. And I commend you for bringing this topic up and treating it with the seriousness that it deserves. And to the public that might hear this, a properly remunerated director can also be removed if you feel that they're not working for you. And thus, remuneration should be proper. That's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Okay, anything further from the board? All right, the next item we have on there is the consent agenda. There are 2 items: approval of minutes from September 14th and September 18th. And then the register of demands totaling $7,417,718.70. Take a look at those items over the weekend. And if you have any questions, we can pull and discuss on Monday. So moving on to item 16, director's reports. Does anybody want to give their report today? Amber? Robert?
Monday.
Ted? Ivan? I don't see ditto on here. Okay. Yes, we'll all give our reports on Monday. General manager's report.
Thank you, President Martin. The general manager's report was included in the packet. Please review that over the weekend if you haven't already, and then we'll be able to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay.
Monday, we will be giving the finance report, but today we're going to be giving the government and public affairs report. So, Marion.
Thank you, Interim General Manager Macy, and good afternoon, members of the board. Dory's going to go ahead and share my PowerPoint here in a moment, but this PowerPoint will just go through in detail some of the activities that the public affairs team has taken in the last month. Next slide, Dory. So fall has definitely sprung. We've had several sponsored events coming up in the next month, and we have a few that I really want to draw your attention to. That includes this weekend's Friends of the Library book sale that starts today and will also take place on Saturday. MSWD is doing some gift baskets that will be raffled off at the event. Later in the month, we have another Water 101 and a special Greater Coachella Valley Chamber Mixer at Cabot's Museum, where MSW staff will be present with a resource table and, of course, our award-winning water. Next week, we have both the Palm Springs State of the City event and the Palm Springs Unified School District Legislative Breakfast. Later next month, we will also have the State of the City event for Desert Hot Springs on November 16th and another blood drive on December 19th. Please mark your calendars, and I hope you can join us for some of these fun and festive events. More information on each of these is included in your packet or in the events calendar that Dory sends out. Next slide, Dory. We are currently finalizing plans with our friends at Desert Hot Springs High School for the Reel Academy. In addition to our annual sponsorship of their end-of-the-year solar boat and PSA competition, MSWD will be partnering with the class to create a 3D printing and modeling exercise where the students will research and create a display that shows our different water sources here in Desert Hot Springs. In addition, the students will be learning about both the hot and cold water aquifers and the history of Miracle Mountain. All of this will be incorporated into their display, and the final piece will be unveiled at our annual Earth Day sponsored celebration at Cabot's Pueblo Museum, and later displayed in the water room of the Pueblo. My hope is that this year we can extend the celebration and get a few elected officials out there to help boost the media and the community support. In addition to this, I'm also in talks with the high school to start an internship program where we'll have a select number of students that can come here and do some light work at the district and experience a hands-on learning opportunity. Once we have those details all hammered out, though, I will share that with the board. Next story. The public affairs team also did a lot of media engagement in the last month. We had several positive MSWD accomplishments that we touted. We included providing a statement to the media regarding the impact that Senator Dianne Feinstein had on our district and our community. These releases were individually picked up by various media publications, including the El Informador, which is a Spanish publication, KESQ TV, the Aqua newsletter, and even the Yukon report. These items were also posted on social media and shared throughout the community. Copies of each of these releases are available on our website. And we also have a Valley Voice article that is still pending that talks about many of these accomplishments. We've sent it into the Desert Sun, and once we get pickup on there, I will definitely let all of you know. Next story. We are continuing with our English and Spanish newsletter distributions. In September, you should have received a newsletter highlighting emergency preparedness, a reminder for customers to update their contact info, and some of our news items that I just mentioned. In October, we will be reminding customers to protect their pipes, especially during the holidays, and the associated holiday cooking that goes along with them. Payment assistant options for customers that may need some extra help, and also a small blurb on the community survey that we are currently developing. As you may have seen in my news release yesterday, this week we're celebrating Water Professionals Week. We are highlighting 5 employees on our website and social media, and each employee has a fun water story that I've written and have posted online. I'd like to give you a small sneak peek at each of them. On Monday, we highlighted Office Assistant Cynthia Acosta. Going with the flow is Cynthia's mantra. She seems to effortlessly handle any challenge that comes her way. Since joining MSWD in August 2022 as a temporary employee, her willingness to learn and her adaptability have made her a key resource for the district. Her can-do attitude helped secure Cynthia a full-time position in February 2023, and she's grateful for her time and experience in the different areas she's supported. And I'll quote her, "At first I thought of it as a job, but as I got exposed to more and more of the organization and learned more about the water and wastewater services we provide, I realized just how important the district's role is in our community." Cynthia's full story is available on our social media and also on our website. On Tuesday, we highlighted David Pena. And with David, they say that employees love a good mystery, but I would say more accurately, a turn of phrase would be to say that everyone loves a good solution. David, who has worked with MSWD for 18.5 years, and one of his job's more interesting and rewarding parts is high-use investigations. Using data from our new advanced metering infrastructure, David can spot high-use patterns and alert customers of potential leaks or problems before they become a large issue. According to David, customers often don't know that they have an issue until they receive his call or door hanger. And I quote, "You can't always see a pool of water to know you have a leak. We live in the desert and the ground can quickly absorb a leak. I always put myself in the customer's shoes while looking for clues. Most of the time, customers are grateful for my help." Again, his full story is on our social media and website. On Wednesday, we highlighted accounting technician Anna Murillo. To Anna, MSWD represents one important thing: community. Being the community's water and wastewater provider is something that she takes great pride in. Being able to be part of an organization that provides critical services is something that she enjoys. And I quote, "As customers, we use water every day, but most of the time we don't think about where it comes from or what all goes into providing those services." Having never worked for a public agency before, Anna enjoys knowing that her work is impacting customers and helping the local community through her profession. Today, I will be highlighting lead field operations technician, Jason Weekly. According to Jason, every day is an opportunity to learn something new. As part of his everyday duties as lead field operations technician, he works with and oversees a crew as they perform various maintenance-related tasks. While performing these duties, Jason prioritizes working with his team and educating newer employees. And I quote, "Mentoring and helping is a big part of what I do. Seeing newer staff react and know what to do when we arrive at a job site means that I am doing my job right." Witnessing this knowledge transfer is one of the best parts of Jason's job. And while he and his team do their best to plan most jobs weeks in advance, sometimes there is an issue that takes precedence and will move to the front of the line. And I quote, "Seeing my coworkers succeed and grow is very rewarding. When they better understand what is going on, they can respond better when an issue or an emergency happens." His story will be shared later today, but it's also available on our website already. And lastly, tomorrow we will be talking about customer service representative Lisa Pelton. As a lifelong resident of Desert Hot Springs, Lisa has a special bond with her customers. To her, they are like family. They are the people she sees around town at special events, the post office, or even at the grocery store. Having been at MSWD for the last 20.5 years. Lisa has worked in several departments, including engineering and accounting. Still, like a lucky penny, she always returns to her favorite area, customer service. Many of our customers know Lisa and her family personally, and they often ask her by name. And I quote from Lisa, "I enjoy helping customers on a one-on-one level and providing them with solutions to any issues they might have. This takes listening and actually hearing what they have to say." So please, I encourage everyone listening or anyone here in the room, take a look at those stories, because you'll see we have some really great employees that work here for the district. Next story. And as I mentioned in one of my previous reports, we're working with our video team to update some of our older and outdated videos. Our first one is one that speaks to how to read your bill and your bill payment options. When we first created this video, it talked about and rely heavily on bill payment options outside of the district, and reference our lobby being closed for COVID. This new video utilizes a different voiceover, but contains the same video clips as we filmed before. This is helping us cut costs, but it's at the same time, it is a video that now meets our new needs. Go ahead, look, Dory.
Every dollar on your water bill ensures we are available to you 24/7 and providing the quality water you deserve. Your bill also includes additional resources to manage your water consumption.
Hi, I'm April Scott. I'm the Customer Service Manager at Mission Springs Water District. Not only does your water bill let you know how much water you used by billing units, it lets you know by gallons as well. It helps you track and kind of get an idea, since we bill by 100 cubic feet, which is 748 gallons. Another feature on the bill is the account summary, which will show you how many gallons of water you used per billing unit, and also breaks it down 4 gallons for 1 penny.
There is also a chart on your water bill that shows your consumption this year versus last year. This can help you monitor your water consumption during the billing period.
The bill will show you where you can pay your bill and how you can pay your bill. There are many ways you can pay your bill. You can auto pay, set up auto pay on the website. You can pay online, pay as a guest online. You can pay by phone by calling us. You can send your bill in by mail in your payment.
You can pay cash at the MSWD office or at participating Walmarts, 7-Elevens, and other select locations using the Pay Near Me in-store bill pay service.
You may also drop your payment off at our night drop box in the front of the building. Or you can call us. Our team is ready and happy to assist you. If you have any questions regarding your bill, the district, or your water, please call us here at the district. We're very happy to help.
For more information, call 760-329-6448.
So thank you. That is the first of our updates. Again, it is leveraging our current film and resources that we have on file, and just updating the voiceover to make it more current and accurate for today's times. And lastly, I did want to give you an update on the proposed rulemaking for conservation as a way of life. In 2018, the legislature enacted 2 key political or policy bills, SB 606 and AB 1668, to implement a new framework for long-term water conservation and drought planning. The 2 bills provide a new and expanded authorities and requirements that affect water conservation and drought planning for water suppliers, agricultural water suppliers, and small water suppliers and rural communities. On August 18th, the State Water Resources Control Board initiated the formal rulemaking for making conservation a way of life, and released a draft of the regulatory text intended to implement the 2 bills. Under the framework, MSWD customers are being asked to cut between 19 and 42% by 2035, which we do not feel is reasonable nor feasible. On October 4th, the State Water Resource Control Board held a public workshop to answer questions and hear testimony from water districts across the state. Written comments on the framework are due on October 17th. We will be joining on an ACWA letter that is currently being finalized, and I'm also currently working with other water districts in the Valley for a joint letter authored by the IRWMP group. We are also sending out template letters to the Valley cities, including Desert Hot Springs, to get their support as well. Once all of these letters are finalized, I will provide copies to the board. On October 4th, at the public meeting, our interim general manager Macy and Director Robert Griffith attended the meeting in person, with Director Griffith providing very impactful testimony that resulted in some back and forth dialogue from the board, with instructions to staff to reach out and work with the MSWD team. I have a copy of Director Griffith's testimony, and I'd like to play that for you right now. Doctor. Go ahead, Dory.
Good afternoon, the Chairman Esquivel and members of the board. My name is Robert Griffith, and I am a board member at Mission Springs Water District. I'd like to thank you for allowing us to speak to you today. MSWD is a retail water and wastewater service provider located in the Coachella Valley. We serve approximately 36,000 residents in Desert Hot Springs and the surrounding unincorporated area of Riverside County. Most people equate the Coachella Valley with Palm Springs, golf courses, and music festivals. Our service area, however, is not prominent on Instagram. Our customers work in the hotels, restaurants, and golf courses of other valley cities. By state standards, they are considered severely disadvantaged. The median income of our service area is just above $33,000 a year, so think about that. More than a third of our residents live at or below the poverty line, and most pay more than 50% in rent or mortgage. Most homes in our service area already feature natural landscaping, or in many cases, no landscaping at all. Pools are a rare sight. State grant funding for turf replacement and efficient toilets has been offered to our customers, but many cannot afford the labor costs for installation. When looking at the standards set for MSWD, I believe we're being lumped into similar standards of our neighboring agencies to the south and its more affluent customers. We're being asked to cut 19% by 2025, 40% by 2030, and 42% by 2035. The proposed cuts disproportionately impact those on the lower end of the economic scale, especially renters, seniors, and customers on fixed incomes, many with older homes who cannot afford to replace appliances or plumbing fixtures. Disadvantaged communities such as Desert Hot Springs will suffer drastically. I don't believe that is the intent of the legislation that brings us here today. While MSWD supports the state's water efficiency efforts, we do not believe the targets are reasonable or even feasible for our customers. With recent inflation factors and looming Chrome 6 standards, our customers who struggle to pay their bills now are facing more pain in the future. If these standards are adopted in 2024, we will only have months to comply with the regulations or face stiff penalties. To meet these drastic cuts will require more time and financial and technical assistance in order to comply. We're a small district with an operating budget of approximately $22 million. A 19% reduction in water consumption will result in a loss of $2.5 million in revenue. This will require the district to immediately reduce or cancel other programs, including those intended to maintain and improve groundwater quality. The need for more conservation is both necessary and urgent. However, a 19 to 42% water use reduction is neither reasonable nor feasible for my constituents. We asked the State Board to provide an alternative compliance pathway, including technical and financial assistance to address feasibility concerns. At the very minimum, we respectfully ask for an adjustment to the compliance period to prepare, budget, and implement a long-term, sustainable program that will allow our customers to both conserve and survive. Thank you.
And that concludes my report for today. Thank you.
I do have two comments actually, and the employees that were recognized. And I've said this before, and people are probably getting tired of hearing me say it, but I'm going to say it again anyway. Is to walk up and down that hallway and see all the awards that have been won by this water district, and it's the result primarily of the hard work and dedication of the staff, including the leadership of our general manager and all the people that work there. So I'm very, very pleased that those employees were recognized. And the second thing I want to bring up, a question I asked, is you heard anything back on the KMIR interview about when our district was going to be highlighted?
We will be one of the first districts, but I think we are probably still a month to 2 months out before we're highlighted.
Okay, thank you. Okay. District council comments.
Yes. I believe the plan is for us to have a closed session on Monday.
Monday. Okay. Director comments, Ted?
Yeah, just a great job to Director Griffith. And I did want to, Marion mentioned it, but the Friends of the Library book sale. Thank you to Marion, and I'm assuming Carol. MSWD has a good showing there. They have different raffle prizes. And I'd say that our few MSWD baskets definitely stand out. And their book sale goes on till 7 p.m. tonight and then 10 to 5 on Saturday.
Robert? Amber?
I just wanted to briefly commend Marion for her work in telling our story. Using Water Professionals Week to give an opportunity to the public to see what our individual workers do, to see what goes into that water flowing nicely out of their pipes, and telling those stories is something that our neighbors need to hear. And I just want to commend you for using that as a wonderful opportunity to tell our story. That's it.
Okay, if there's nothing further from staff, then this meeting is adjourned.